Hi all, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Daria and I'll be hosting this webinar on the latest features of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. We know that everyone's time is valuable, so we'll try to make this session practical and straight to the point. Before we dive into the agenda, here is a quick reminder of who we are. N.Progression is a Microsoft partner focused on Dynamics 365 products. We help businesses to implement, support, and upgrade Dynamics 365 for both ERP and CRM. And today we are going to discuss platform updates plan, what's new and changed in Dynamics 365 supply chain management, and we will discuss latest features, and then there will be some time for your questions. Our speakers for today are Peter, business architect and head of our ERP department, along with Andrew, our technical lead architect. As you can see, together they have broad experience with the Dynamics 365 supply chain. And with that, I'll hand over to Peter.
Thank you, Daria. Hello, everyone. And as usual, before we will dive into current update overview, I'd like to share with you a full map of new features Microsoft added to Dynamics 365 supply chain management over the past 4 quarters. The last update changed the champion among functional areas, and now it's the sales and marketing with 7 new features, not to mention numerous improvements. Additionally, new features have been introduced across various areas such as inventory management, production control, master planning, warehouse management, and procurement and sourcing. As you may notice, there were not any new features in Copilot and AI innovations, excluding this exactly released 10.48. And I'd like to say even more, some of Copilot features were deprecated. So I think we can definitely say that Microsoft started to put less effort to their Copilot than a year before. Of course, for more details, you can visit the official Microsoft Launch portal, or you can visit my YouTube channel, where you can find all the videos from our past webinars with descriptions and live demos. And now let's move on, and I'd like to transfer word to my colleague, Andrew.
Thank you, Peter. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our today's session. It's only one day until the general availability of the next release, Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. And as you may know, according to the new release policy, Microsoft releases 4 updates over the year, and 2 of them are major ones. The upcoming release is denoted a minor release, so the next update will be released in September this year, and it will be a major release. Let me go back to the upcoming update and briefly review the changes. Let's start with the master planning module. The first feature is soft issue mergence with planning optimization feature. In general, soft issue merging causes the system to treat the issue merging as a preferred buffer rather than a hard requirement. Instead of always applying the full issue merging, a soft merging lets the system reduce it as needed to avoid pushing the requirement date into the future. Without soft issue merging, the system always applies the full merging, even when doing so delays a demand order. The soft issue merging works as follows. If the full issue merging can be applied without causing a delay, the system applies the full issue merging just as it does with the standard behavior. If the full issue merging would cause a delay, the system reduces the issue merging to the largest value that doesn't push the planned requirement date past the demand requirement date. The merging can be reduced to any value between 0 days and its full configured value minus 1 day. If the order is already delayed, the demand requirement date is in the past, the system ignores the issue merging entirely, and the issue merging isn't included in the delay calculation. Instead, the difference between the demand requirement date and the planned order date is surfaced to indicate that the order can be fulfilled on time. This behavior applies independently at each level in the supply chain. If a bill of material structure includes both a finished good and a rough material, the system evaluates and adjusts the issue margin separately for each level. The next feature, optimize configured dates for CTP line changes. The CTP definition means capable to promise. And this feature ensures that confirmed ship and receipt dates on sales order lines stay accurate when you modify fields that affect transport days. When you use capable to promise with the planning optimization, this feature automatically adjusts the confirmed dates to optimize delivery without requiring user action. The feature works as follows. When you modify a field on sales order line that impacts transport days, the system automatically recalculates the required and confirmed dates to reflect the new transport days. The system optimizes the confirmed dates as follows. If the confirmed receipt date equals the requested receipt date and no past shipment is needed, the ship date moves closer to the receipt date. If the configured receipt date is later than the requested receipt date, the system optimizes toward the requested date within shipment constraints. If the change would cause the ship date to fall in the past, the confirmed receipt date is scheduled forward from the first feasible ship date. So the next feature keeps supply for confirmed demand. This feature ensures that customer commitments provided by capable to promise functionality are strictly preserved between planning runs. This functionality is applied across all bill of material levels, meaning that all derived requirements originating from a confirmed sales line are preserved. You can choose to keep supply for confirmed demand at the master plan level. This setting controls whether the system preserves confirmed requirements for the selected master plan. The value applies to both non-interactive scenarios, such as capable to promise calculation or bill of materials explosion, and interactive scenarios, such as the master planning run dialog. By default, the keep supply for confirmed demand feature preserves planning orders, routes, route jobs, and capacity reservations that are part of a confirmed supply chain. The keep supply for confirmed demand feature adds processing time to each planning run, because the system must identify confirmed sales lines, trace the full supply chain across all bill of material levels, and preserve the related requirements. The impact depends on the number of open sales lines that have confirmed ship dates and the depth of the bill of materials structures involved. It makes sense to use this feature for dynamic plans with a shorter coverage period, because for static plans or plans with long coverage time fences, the number of confirmed requirements can grow significantly, which increases processing time and might cause a delay from a system performance perspective. So let's continue with the warehouse management module. The first feature, automate dynamic work classification powered by PowerFX formulas. This feature lets you evaluate warehouse queries in real time, so you can prioritize work based on load priority or any operational data. This removes the need for multiple location directives or work templates, reducing configuration complexity and making your warehouse more responsive. Dynamic work classification lets you use PowerFX formulas to determine these work parameters at runtime instead of configuring them statically on each work template. So a single work template combined with the classification rule can replace many static templates, and making your configuration simpler to maintain and more adaptable to changing business requirements. This dynamic work classification provides two main capabilities. Classification at work creation. When warehouse work is created, the system evaluates a PowerFX formula to override the work pool, work priority, location directives codes, and work classes on the generated work. The formula can look up values from the work header and associated records, including the load, shipment, wave, and transportation appointment. Reclassification after load changes. In this case, if a load changes after work has been created, for example, the carrier is reassigned, the system can regulate the formula and update the associated work. In this case, work can also be regulated on a schedule if the formula depends on the current date or time. To start using dynamic work classification, you need to configure how loads trigger reclassification. Create one or more classification rules that contain your Power FX formulas and associate each rule with the work templates that should use it. The next feature enable precise serial and batch capture in cluster picking. This feature lets you control how serial and batch numbers are captured during cluster picking for items tracked below the location level in the reservation hierarchy. You get two new strategies in the cluster setup. Capture serial and batch numbers once before distributing items, or capture them separately for each cluster position. The cluster picking strategy controls whether workers pick inventory for all cluster positions at a location in a single step, or handle each position individually. You can set this option as part of the cluster profile. There are three options available. Process by location. At each pick location, the worker picks the total quantity across all cluster positions in a single step. The system then presents a sort step where the worker distributes the picked quantity to each position. You can fully customize cluster sort criteria, and this strategy is set by default. Process by position for tracked items. At each pick location, the worker handles each cluster position one at a time, but only for items tracked by batch or serial number that are below the location level. The process by location strategy still applies to non-tracked items at the same location. Process by position for all items. In this case, at each pick location, the worker handles every cluster position one at a time, regardless of whether the item has tracking dimensions. So basically, this concludes the features that I wanted to present at our webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in our chat. Now I would like to turn the floor over to Peter. So Peter, the stage is yours again.
Thank you, Andrew. Now it's my turn to tell you a little bit more about your release. And for my opinion, one of the most interesting new features in version 10.48 is the new procurement agent functionality in supply chain management. Microsoft is introducing AI-driven support directly into the procurement workflow. The procurement agent focuses on two major supplier communication. Two major areas, suppliers communication, and the second area is impact analysis. The idea actually is simple. Instead of buyers manually checking emails, updating dates, updating orders, updating order lines, and analyzing risks in planning and delivery, inventory, and so on, the system can now help automate and evaluate those changes. Let's discuss a little bit deeply two core capabilities of the procurement agent working together. And the first area, as I already told, is supplier communication. The agent can process supplier responses and identify different types of purchase orders changes automatically. This includes such changes like quantity increase or decrease, price updates, delivery date changes, order cancellations, or also unit of measure changes. And the second area is impact analysis. This is how system evaluates where the supplier changes create optional risks. And what is important here is that not every supplier change triggers an impact analysis. Some changes like price update or early delivery dates are detected and processed, but they don't necessarily create supply chain risks. So essentially, Microsoft is trying to reduce the amount of manual coordination and analysis procurement teams perform every day. The impact analysis process starts when the supplier communicates a change, for example, a delay, a quantity reduction, or order cancellation. For the first, system checks whether there are downstream dependencies linked to the purchase order. If there are related production orders, transfer orders, or sales demand, the agent evaluates whether those processes will be delayed. Then the system checks project inventory level. It analyzes whether inventory could become negative or fall below minimum thresholds after the supply change is applied. Based on checks, the system classifies the change either as has impact or no impact. What I like here is that Microsoft is moving beyond a simple workflow automation. The system is starting to provide decision support. Instead of procurement users manually tracing supply chain dependencies across multiple forms and planning screens, the agent helps identify which supply changes are safe to accept and which require immediate attention. The supply communication capabilities focuses on simplifying day-to-day communication between procurement teams and vendors. It also supports follow-up scenarios, for example, reminding suppliers about unconfirmed purchase orders or delayed deliveries. An interesting point is that Microsoft positions this functionality as part of the Copilot and AI ecosystem. The feature uses Microsoft Copilot Studio Credits, so there is a consumption-based cost model behind the scene. And from a practical perspective, one very useful addition is that in this release, Microsoft announced the ability to test the supply communication functionality without completing the full email integration setup. It really simplifying the process for customers, for companies to try this functionality. However, despite this simplified setup, the functionality still can't really be reproduced or properly tested unless the customer already has an active Microsoft Copilot Studio subscription and available Copilot Studio credits, of course. Overall, this looks like an important step toward more autonomous procurement operations inside Dynamics 365 supply chain management. This is it from my side for today, and also this is it with the new features Microsoft announced in 10.48. And now we're going back to Daria. Daria, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter and Andrew. I hope you all found this session useful and practical. Before we move to the Q&A, I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce some solutions for Dynamics 365 supply chain management. In the meantime, you can already type your questions in the chat or in the Q&A. First solution is Advanced Database Log, a solution that makes understanding data changes in your ERP system a lot easier. So instead of digging through technical database logs, you get a clear searchable view of what changed, who changed it, and even what was deleted. Next is our AI-based solution, Advanced Support Case Management. So when a user raises an issue, Copilot instantly analyzes its type and context using advanced AI algorithms. The AI searches the system database logs and knowledge base to find relevant answer. And if Copilot identifies a solution, then it's immediately shared with the user without human intervention. And if an issue requires human attention, then Copilot makes sure to assign it to the most appropriate support team member or a consultant. Another solution is Cloud Green. It helps you to stay in control of Dynamics 365 updates. Instead of installing each update and hoping that nothing breaks, You can see exactly what is changing, which custom extensions are affected, and what the real impact on your system is, both technically and functionally. All of these solutions are available on Microsoft App Source. We'll be sharing links along with the recording and the materials tomorrow. And of course, we are happy to collaborate with Microsoft partners and Microsoft customers. We also offer extended team model. We have consultants with 10 to 20 years experience within Dynamics 365 supply chain management. Our rate starts from 40 to 60 euros per hour, and we will be also sharing some more details along with the materials. And now it's time for the questions. If you have any, please type them in the chat or in the Q&A. Or if anything comes up later, you can always write us an email or reach out to Peter or Andrew directly on LinkedIn.